Welcome to How You Go There, a podcast that goes beyond traditional success stories to uncover the real strategies, skills, and turning points behind people who make things happen. Hosted by Scott Montgomery, author of How Did You Get Here? Lessons of Unconventional Success, business owner and ICF certified leadership coach, alongside Linda Misegadis, a seasoned expert in business strategy, leadership development, and career transformation. Together, they bring sharp insights, real-world experience, and powerful storytelling to every episode. Listeners hear authentic conversations with professionals, leaders, and changemakers who've navigated big pivots, career breakthroughs, setbacks, and new opportunities. Subscribe now and join the next evolution of the journey, because this is how you go there. Good morning.
Good morning. It's so good to see you. How are you?
It's good to see you too. It's been a couple weeks now. I guess you were doing a lot of traveling last week.
I was, it's a time of year, which honestly, I don't like to complain too much about it because
No.
I don't want to travel during the winter time. So I'm actually kind of glad when that doesn't happen because, I don't like toting the heavy coat and this and that. And so summer and spring and fall traveling is so much better. Wintertime, I'm like, sometimes I don't take a coat and then I'm regretting it because I'm like walking through the street to go to my appointment and I'm freezing my behind off. So
So traveling is okay, but only in the spring and summer. I like it.
Spring, summer. I don't mind fall travel either. I'll do the fall
Okay.
travel, although this is also some of the busiest time of travel too. So the airports are a little crazy with,
True.
spring break and summer break and all that sort of stuff. So, it'll
Well,
be
come to Virginia. Come to
interesting.
Virginia in the fall and visit us.
I know it's beautiful that time of year.
It can be.
Yeah, no,
That
definitely.
was funny. You're out in Colorado, right? And I think one of the things I just saw on the news was you got 6 inches of snow like 2 days ago.
Colorado is such a crazy place for weather, honestly, because the mountains, they just got pummeled with snow. We got 2 days of heavy rain in town, which we
Oh, okay.
desperately needed. I mean, it was good to get
Sure.
the water, but then it'll be 80 degrees and then it'll be 60 degrees or 30 degrees or 40 degrees. So like there is no packing your clothes away in Colorado. You know how some people are very
Right.
organized and like, oh, okay, now I'm going to get my summer clothes and I'm going to do. You can't do that in Colorado because literally in the wintertime you could be wearing shorts. I mean, it's just that type of climate. So, I mean, if
Well,
you're
good. I'm
hardy
glad
like me, you could. Well, what have you been up to?
Well, it's funny you should ask that. I appreciate that. We did something really exciting yesterday here at the office that I think will segue nice into our conversation today. We have continually for the last few years, maybe even a decade, been really supportive of an initiative here in our local community schools, feeding the kids that don't or can't afford food or
you
have
guys
food
do this.
insecurities.
This is so important, and especially right now with where we are, economically, it's exacerbated, and so I love you guys do
Really
this.
has.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and you know what? We did it differently this week. We actually did it here in our offices, and we
Nice.
set up a conference room, and we set up all the food bags. And we work with an organization called Helping Hungry Kids.
Okay.
And we work with the school districts direct here in our local community to disseminate. Basically, what we do is fill up backpacks or grocery bags of food, give them to the teachers of kids who have food insecurities. Discreetly, the teacher will put it in the kid's backpack and send them home for the weekend with food. So
I
we
love
on
that.
Thursdays do that.
Yeah.
Then it gets taken to the church or taken to the school, and then it's taken to the classroom. And there's so many different facets of that production line that over the years we've gotten really good at all pieces.
Yeah.
And so it was an exciting day yesterday. We engaged all of our WorldGate employees here at corporate
That's amazing.
to touch that and fill in those bags. And it was a lot of fun. And you know what it brought up for me is a lot of what we talk about and what you and I are really interested in here in our podcast is helping the next generation or those emerging leaders. And this to me is another example that I wanted to share around how you can make yourself available to supporting and getting involved in initiatives that are not just money-based, they're not money-based, but that they're also helping you become an effective leader.
Yes. Yep. I like that. No.
And and recognizing that just doing, once and done things is not philanthropy, and philanthropy isn't the only thing to becoming a successful leader, but it certainly is satiating and it can feel really good, and it's got value and purpose in your community. And so I thought it was a good thing to share, and I appreciate you bringing it up, but I think it's a good thing to share as our topic today is going to be really around how can leaders make themselves more available to programs like that.
Yeah, I like
And
that
so
because
as I can,
yeah, I love where you're going with that because it's to your point, it's not just one thing, right? It's
Mhm.
multiple facets of different ways that we can make ourselves available, and especially as, business leaders, what can you do to really make yourself available not only to the community, but also to those young leaders who are, up and coming in the work world.
Well, and I think the thing for me to emphasize isn't even the task of the activities, but we make ourselves available to these different initiatives,
Yeah,
which then exposes us to opportunities.
right.
And those opportunities can either be in business, they can either be in community, or they can be in philanthropy, right? So just to high level those. And I think what I wanted to share is that we actually stay engaged in that. Our children, this is for elementary school kids, and we got involved very early when our children, Kate and I are, doing this collectively with our company. And
Sure.
we got involved in this when we recognized it was an issue when our kids were in kindergarten.
Okay.
Well, this initiative supports elementary school kids,
Yeah.
and my kids are graduated high school, and one and the other two are graduating high school next year, and we're still involved. So my point was, we make ourselves available to opportunities. I don't want it lost that if we're trying to help people make themselves available to helping the next generation of leaders, that they can take that action, that they have to
Yeah.
look for places
Yeah.
to go find where they can be of value. And I think this is an example of one we still continue to do. And it's a little off base because we don't have elementary kids anymore. We're,
Right.
out of that zone, but it's still such an important initiative. And we get such
Absolutely.
value out of it. Partnering with Helping Hungry Kids, partnering with Fairfax County Public Schools, making sure our organization supports our community creates opportunities for leadership
Yeah,
and effective
absolutely.
relationships. And so I think it's important that we talked about that as my example for the week, is what we were
Yeah,
doing.
that's a great
But I know you do a
example.
lot of that too. Yeah,
Well,
thank you.
a good example. Yeah, actually, it was kind of interesting because last week when I was at our corporate headquarters, I was actually prior to that, I'd had been on a conversation with one of our strategic leaders, and we were chatting about different things, and thinking about different programs and the stuff that we're doing. And then he had shared with me, he asked me, "Hey, do you know, one of the gentlemen that works at our organization?" And I said, "No, I don't." Because we were talking about some of the things I do related to lobbying and government and the work around all of that. And so he said, "Oh, well, his son is just graduating from college this last weekend from the Ford. I'm going to get it all wrong, but it's basically the Ford School on Public Policy out of Michigan. Very impressive. I mean, it's great to see this happening. And so he said, "Hey, do you mind if I make an introduction? Maybe, through your connections, you can help out his son.
Mhm.
He's looking to do these things." So I happened to be at corporate last week. Lo and behold, he also was in the office. So, I teamed him and said, "I'm actually in the office. Why don't we just meet in person?" So now I have a new
Wonderful.
friend as well, right?
Yep.
I'm now a colleague that I didn't know, and then I got to learn all about his son, but also got to learn about the amazing things that my colleague is doing. And then his son and I connected, and now I've been able to make connections for him to some of the people in my network. Now it'll be on him, right? I've done the first step for him in making the introduction and kind of opening the door. Now it'll be up to him to determine how he walks through those doors and what he's able to do. But it's a great
Well, those are
opportunity
the
to be able
coming
to do that, right?
and those are our coming
Yes,
episodes
they
on
are,
now
right?
now
Nice
you've
little
started in
plug,
your job.
right? So
But
yeah,
but I think it's important for this episode and for what we're talking about today is that you made yourself available to it and you actually sent the text and you actually reached out and took the initiative. Being a leader and being a mentor is part of owning that corporate social responsibility
yes,
is one facet of it, but it's also just own you. If there's corporate social responsibility, you as a leader are the corporate social
exactly.
responsible party.
Yes, you
And
are. I agree.
peop People wonder, how do they make themselves available? Well, here we just gave you two examples. We found an initiative here
Yep.
at WorldGate. You had a connection and you reached out and we did stuff in our office and people take action. It's really important to recognize that those actions can really perpetuate and grow
Yes.
both the person doing those actions, but the people receiving those actions as well. With over a decade of experience, WorldGate LLC is your trusted partner in IT staffing, project management, and UKG solutions tailored for the public sector. We help government agencies and organizations navigate complex technology landscapes, implement effective workforce solutions, and build high-performing teams. From strategic staffing to seamless systems integrations, we bring the experience and reliability to execute, empower, and exceed for our customers. Staffing? Check. Project management? Check. Public sector and UKG solutions? Check. Experience you can trust. Visit www.worldgatellc.com today.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's so important for them to, one, exactly to your point, is being available and actionable. So I kind of thought about like,
Mhm.
what are a couple things that business leaders could do, right? So what if
Yep.
you host regular office hours? Can you have those office hours where, you free your calendar because another
Yep.
component of that is you got to be present, right? And you got to be willing to put
Available.
on your,
Yeah.
your active listening so that you can make yourself available. You can
Mhm.
create some reverse mentorship programs, where you actually invite young leaders to mentor more senior leaders on some of the things that maybe they are learning because the world is, constantly evolving and changing all the time. And so
Mhm.
there's a great
Mhm.
opportunity there. What if you are visible and approachable? So show up to those town halls when oftentimes there are corporate events and maybe there's lunch and learns or those sorts of things. Make sure as a leader
Mhm.
you're there and you show up so people have the opportunity, and then make yourself approachable, right? I mean, because
Yes.
you've worked for those organizations, right, where the leadership almost has a posse around them, like they're like it's some the president of the United States or something and needs protection around them. It's like, so be approachable, because I think that's so incredibly important as well. And then what if
Well,
you
you bring up, oh, sorry.
yeah,
Go
no,
ahead.
no, no, you
Sorry.
go ahead, jump in.
Well, I was going to chime in on the fact that even if we take a look at one of those bullets you just said,
Yeah.
WorldGate was partnering with your organization under the onus of you and I having met once or twice.
Yeah.
But one of the things, right? So one of
Yeah.
that was 10 years ago. So one of the
Right.
things that we did, you and I did,
Mhm.
and I like to share this so that people can parlay it to what they might be able to do. But one of the things we did at WorldGate was invite ourselves to what you just said in bullet number 3, which is a brown bag lunch. And we got in front of your
Yeah.
teams
Yep, yep, yep.
and we demonstrated for them for 30 minutes, 15 minutes, what we can do for them, how we can be of value, what we think we bring to the table. And that gave them an opportunity then to say, well, we'd like you to tweak this, or we think this is important and we appreciate what you're offering there. And we started a partnership effectively.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
in that partnership spawns friendships, podcasts,
Mhm.
nurturing opportunities, all the things that we can be doing to perpetuate those next generations came from the initiative of one of the bullets you just referenced. So could you read those one more time about the mentoring
Yeah.
program we do at WorldGate, the brown bag lunches, and what was the first one? Coffee
Yeah, so,
chats, was it?
kind of host regular office hours. Make yourself
Mhm.
available, have an open door policy. You can still have them schedule it. So, you don't obviously you want it to be reasonable and plausible and actionable. And so schedule the time and they still, you
Yep.
still need to, but make yourself available. Have those office hours where, if anybody wants to just kind of come in and chat. Maybe they have this idea and it might be the next great idea for your organization. Then you
Could
didn't
very
even
well
know
be.
that, right? So open up the door and make yourself available.
Well, and the thing about that too is not even carving out the time, but maybe introducing. We at WorldGate do a coffee chat once a month where Caitlin and
Yeah.
I jump on for a half an hour to an open mic. And so you can do it on Zoom. We're not in a
Can, you're
world where
right.
we're all in the
Yes.
same office.
Yep.
And we'll sit on Zoom and hope that people show up, and they do. And it is
Yes.
very rewarding. And then you make a connection where I've had someone leave that meeting and say, hey, could you actually get into a coaching relationship with me for 3 or 5 series internally here at WorldGate so that I
Yeah.
can help and learn from what your experiences are and what the tools are out there to advance my own career, whether or not it would be within WorldGate. One can hope it would stay at
Yeah.
WorldGate, but the value is in the growth for all and
I
not just the
agree.
growth of the company. So yeah, these are
Yeah.
good. These are great stories for this kind of thing, and I like to share the
Yeah.
different angles. Yeah.
I think so. Well, and then,
Well,
one of my favorite books that I was introduced to actually by my boss is by Patrick Lencioni, and it's on, the characteristics of leadership, and it talks about the three characteristics that you want are hungry, humble, and smart. And I don't think that
uh,
humility gets enough credit for how important it is, not only just in general, but I think in a leadership role. And, I got into a debate one time over humility and being humble. And, it's like, no, you need to be bold and speak up. Humility doesn't mean that you need to like be
but you're
a,
not
um, a
bold,
wallflower and that, you
right?
shrink away from everything in that, or that you don't toot your own horn. Humility means, like, recognizing that other people are equally important, hearing other people's ideas and being willing to listen and participate in that. That's really humility. It's not, like,
Hmm.
I'm never going to tell you that, I did this amazing job or accomplished these things. That's not humility. It is being able to say those things as well, but finding the balance and recognizing that other people have done amazing things and other people have great ideas, and you should be open to hearing what they have to say. But I'm kind of curious
100%.
what you kind of think about that as well, because in your role and as we're thinking about leaders making themselves, especially to young people, because sometimes young people are turned off by talking to leaders or older leaders, especially because it can come across as like, well, back in the good old days, this is how we used to do things.
Yeah, so let me so that I'm really glad you invite that in because there are two stories I'll share with that have been most recent. And the first is that my son is in so first of all recognizing that one of my interests is to help that young next generation
Yeah.
as well as practice the tools of the trade and leadership coaching and development and getting myself refined as I run a company and also helping my emerging leaders who are
Yeah.
well past college and in their early careers or even in their
Yeah.
mid careers. But when we're
Absolutely.
talking about those young kids, right? So it gets really interesting because with my son in college, I have an opportunity to get in front of his entire fraternity and
Yeah.
talk to them
Mhm.
about as myself as a college student at UVA, I got myself opportunities to get in front of these folks to share. I don't know if I mentioned that I did a companion guide. I could get
I
that
don't
for
know.
you.
Did you mention? You know
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Actually, I think I have mine handy because I
Yeah.
like to keep it right by my desk here. So
Yes, yes.
so yeah,
Thank you for that.
absolutely,
Yes.
yes, yes.
But hey everyone, Scott Montgomery here from the How You Go There podcast, and we've got something special for you. We're on a mission to hit 100 subscribers on our YouTube channel, and we want to celebrate by giving back to our amazing community of young leaders and future executives. So here's the deal. We're doing a giveaway. All you need to do to enter is 1. Like this video, 2. Subscribe to the channel, and 3. Drop a comment below telling us your favorite episode of How You Go There. Once we hit 100 subscribers, we'll randomly pick a winner. And that person will get a signed copy of How Did You Get Here? Lessons of Unconventional Success, and the How You Go There Companion Guide. These books are packed with real-world insight for anyone looking to grow in leadership, pursue executive coaching, or just take the next steps in your journey. So if you're serious about leadership growth and learning from people who have done it their own way, now's your chance. To learn more, head on over to howyougothere.com. But if I can get in front of the college kids with the companion guide that I
Yeah,
launched this year, and quite frankly, to be honest, it's not working. They're not finding the time for me. I'm not sure that they're interested. They're in their fraternity zone. They're
yeah.
freshmen in college, sophomore in college. But I'm using the opportunity to give this book to my kid. Hey, take this to your fraternity brothers, see if it's of interest. I actually went there for a weekend a couple weekends ago, and one of the kids and I talked for an hour and a half about this
Wow.
very topic. He's
Yeah,
since reached out. But my point is, I made myself available there. But what I'm doing for the even younger generation that makes it even easier is there are organizations out there, specifically young entrepreneurs academies.
oh, I'm glad you
And
brought
there are
this up because I love that you're doing this. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're across the country, and it's a surefire way to be, one, vetted, so it's not
Yeah.
weird. The kids
Yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
you're an adult in a kid zone. You're only allowed to talk to the kids when you copy and correspond with the leaders of that organization
Okay.
as well.
Okay.
Parents are on board. I've met the parents, and
Yeah.
every year you get a child and you mentor their initiative to be a young entrepreneur as they pitch their business ideas after a 4-month business model to a panel of investors, and they basically win cash at the end
Right,
to go build their
right.
business if they
Yeah.
choose.
Yeah.
I've done it for 3 years now. I have had since then 3 of the high school students that were in there have now moved off to college, have come physically into my office to pitch the continuum of the business we started
Yeah.
talking about when they were in high school, and I was a mentor in the program. So
Right.
I made myself available to that program, and I was interested
Mhm.
because I'm an entrepreneur, and I was
Right.
interested because I had children in that age, and it seems to be working because 'cause I'm vetted, it's not weird, and I can do it. I actually took a pause from the actual mentoring this coming semester because my children are in their senior year of high school, and I'm gonna mentor them,
Yeah.
but I'm still gonna invest in it, I'm still gonna promote it,
Love it.
and I was showing both sides of that coin because the college kids are ready and primed, but they're not listening yet.
Yep.
And
Yep,
so
yep, yep.
I keep dripping in my
Yes.
companion guide and my availability. You don't jam it in, and I'm available to it, but I realize where my energy can shift in this YEA program
Right.
and at home and this
Yes.
podcast,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's different quadrants you can reach. Making yourself available to the different ones through the different tools is really important to tickle. And I wanted to tell stories. I want us to tell stories about how you do that for
Yep.
those who are like, well, where do I start? Start with
Absolutely.
your own interests
Start
and
with
look
your own
stuff up.
interests. Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I totally agree. Well, and as you know, I've got another podcast that I get to do that focuses more on women. And it's more of a
Yep.
platform for women and women in leadership.
Now I know we promoted the book, but what's that other podcast? What's the URL
Yes,
for that other
the
podcast?
other podcast is called the Her Resources Podcast. You can find it on all
Okay.
of the major streaming services out there as well. So wherever you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us. You can also get us out on LinkedIn as well if you want to follow what we're doing out there. But
Yeah.
really the whole point in that was aligned with what you were talking about, which is to give a platform for women, everyday women. We're not bringing on, Mel Robbins or Oprah Winfrey or, I mean, we're bringing on everyday women who are doing
Yeah.
amazing and incredible things in their own businesses. Many of them are entrepreneurs. Many of them, are out there really leading the charge on change. And it's a big part of that. Exactly what you're talking about is creating a
Hmm.
community and meeting people where
Hmm.
they are, right? I mean, I think
Hmm.
that's an important part
Exactly.
of the leadership side of it, right? We're not coming in, we're not imposing our ideas, we're not telling you how to do it. We're just
Nope.
simply coming in, we're giving you a platform and an opportunity for us all to talk and share and ideas, which is what you and I are doing, right? We're not saying we have it all figured out because we don't. We're just trying to give you ideas and stories and guidance.
And I think that's what today, to make yourself available to these
Yeah,
opportunities, whether it's you're creating a podcast or you're going to the YEA organization and signing up to be a mentor, or you're literally in a school packing backpacks and you meet someone who then thinks your leadership development is good for, their organization, or you're in a training class and you actually partner and get into a relationship with someone. Look at our relationship and what it's spawning as far as
absolutely.
business. And so those fundamentals are all I ever really want to push. And so when you're
Yeah.
making yourself available as a mentor, listen to the fundamentals of our conversation, to your point,
Yes.
because that's the work one must do. And I call that corporate social responsibility as well as humanity, right? Like
Yes. Yeah,
you have to make the effort to be a mentor. You just don't get to be one. And if you've done all
exactly.
this, there's more fulfillment in paying it forward than executing on it, I believe.
No, I love that. I love that. Well, I just want to kind of recap some of this as we come to
Yeah,
a
yeah.
close. It's just like
Thanks.
a couple of things that we want to remind leaders out there. Make yourself available, whatever that looks like for you. So hosting office hours, setting up Zoom meets, brown bag lunches, all of those sorts of
Mhm,
things. Make yourself available for sure. Those mentorship programs, those are so important
mhm.
to have out there. be visible and approachable. Don't hide
Uh-huh.
behind the big door. I mean, make sure that you're out there. Encourage that open dialogue and internal platforms that allow for that sort of stuff. Invite that participation in strategic part in projects. When you've got something going
Yeah.
on, invite them to be a part of those things, and then really practice active listening and humility. Be there, hear what they have to say, and really, that helps you invest in those leadership development opportunities. Whether, to your point, whether they're young leaders or they're middle of their career, we can all of us can use some guidance along the way. It's not like there's anybody who's got it all like check, figured it all out. So I
Nope,
love it.
and I would add to that the continuous learning aspect of collaboration and keeping your
Yeah.
skills refined. You said earlier, yeah, I don't want to just diatribe people like this is how you write in cursive now, and this is what you need to do to be successful, because no one does that. So
Exactly.
refining your skills and staying current can be a lot of fun when you're doing a podcast with your friend, or
Yes.
you're engaged in an activity where you can bounce ideas off each other and they'll traject a further step of your own accord. We have
Yeah.
to, as leaders and as emerging leaders and as people in the business world, take the initiative and do these things. So that was a great summary. And I think it's really important that those things don't have a definition, but that they are the framework and that they are the
Yes.
basis for how you
Absolutely.
can get more
Yeah.
successes. Thanks for listening to How You Go There podcast. If this sparks something for you, share it, review it, or connect with us at howyougothere.com. Keep leading, and we'll see you next time.